Things are exploding in Israel. The Palestinians have launched a day of rage. They started by torching Joseph's tomb. Now the stabbings are starting again, and serious clashes are taking place throughout the nation of Israel.
After 2 weeks of incessant, gruesome terror attacks, Israeli security are out in full force, hoping to prevent more bloodshed. Charlene Aaron has the story.
A Palestinian posing as a photojournalist wearing a safety vest and carrying equipment stabbed an Israeli soldier today. He was shot and killed. The incident was caught live by a Hamas TV crew. Ahead of the Day of Rage, rioting Palestinians burned the tomb of the biblical patriarch Joseph in Nablus. In a surprise move, Palestinian Authority Chairman Mahmoud Abbas condemned the arson attack.
Days of rage usually include Palestinian rioting and confrontation with Israeli troops at flashpoints in Judea and Samaria or the West Bank.
Prime Minister Netanyahu told journalists that incitement is behind the current wave of terrorism and violence.
First on the Al-Aqsa Mosque and the outrageous claims that we are changing the status quo there or intend to destroy it. And now we have a new big lie. That new big lie is that Israel is executing Palestinians.
Abbas accused Israel of executing what he called an innocent Palestinian boy who stabbed an Israeli boy his age.
First of all, he's not dead, he's alive. This Palestinian terrorist is now being treated in Hadassah Hospital in Israel.
Netanyahu said the trouble doesn't have anything to do with whether or not there are peace talks.
They're attacking us not because they want peace or don't want peace, it's because they don't want us here.
Tension in Israel is palpable. Many Israelis are staying away from public places. Others aren't giving in.
I've never seen a time like this before in my entire life. I've heard about it when I was a kid, about the Second Intifada, but I never felt this way.
Yeah, it is sometimes. It's scary to walk around, but it's not that scary because I believe in God and I know He's gonna help us.
Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
So is this violence the beginning of a third intifada against Israel? For more on that, I spoke with Ron Lauder, who is president of the World Jewish Congress, and here's what he told me.
We should do everything we can to stop this. The question is, has the Intifada ever stopped? But I don't believe this is the beginning of it. This could be, but I don't believe it will happen. And the fact is, we must do everything we can now, both Israel, Palestinians, and the world, for example, to stop this and to say we must do everything we can for a two-state solution.
Well, Mahmoud Abbas has called for the shedding of Israeli blood, and they quote, the filthy feet of Jews can't be any longer on the Temple Mount. I mean, he's not exactly trying to make peace, is he?
I've spoken with him, and he told me he believes in a two-state solution. And then he says something like this. It's just the opposite. And we must do everything we can. He must stand up and say to his people, enough is enough, please. We need peace and we need a future. And for him to give a speech at the UN talking about the Oslo Accords and saying that they're no longer valid is, again, counterproductive. The fact is that the Palestinians must understand that the future, their future, depends on this two-state solution, and everything that's being done is against it.
Well, I understand that the Israelis, Bibi Netanyahu and others, have offered to them concessions, extraordinary concessions, but based on some kind of bilateral treaty. Now they have gone directly to the UN to say you must force a solution on Israel whether they like it or not. Now, is that going to go down well with the Israeli people?
Look, the Israeli people want a two-state solution, but as time goes on, they believe more and more that it will not be possible. Now, what's happening also is that very often what is being attacked on the behalf of the Jewish people is also an attack on the Christian people, because they're really talking about the fact of who belongs there. This is a Jewish, Christian, Muslim place, as well as must be all three. We must all live together. That is the critical question. And the leader the leaders have to be able to do it, particularly the Palestinians. They must be able to say, enough's enough. And when children go out and kill because they want to be martyrs, what does that say? And when Abbas gives a speech about one child being killed, executed, and then it turns out the child is in a hospital, an Israeli hospital being treated, what does that say? We must do what we can. But also, I was watching MSNBC this morning, and it says, Jewish extremists cause problems. And you read in certain papers, 2 Palestinian youths killed. They don't say that these are terrorists who stabbed somebody 15 times. And the fact is, we must understand that this is a question of people being incited to create violence.
You know, I met several times with Yasser Arafat, and Arafat didn't want peace. He got money from the other Arabs by causing trouble, and the original Intifada was his deal. I mean, he had everything that was, every concession Israel could possibly give him, and he still wanted to fight. And I wonder if the leaders feel the same way as he did.
Well, I must tell you, I've never met with Arafat, but I have met with Abu Mazen, and I will say to you that he's told me he wants peace, he wants a 2-state solution, and he would like to find a way to do it. The question is, sometimes there are outside forces that push him to go one way or the other. The real aspect is, if he was able to stand up and say, I want peace, I want to be able to find a way with Israel, it would change dramatically the whole scene. But when he gives a speech at the UN talking about getting rid of the Oslo agreements and changing things, it doesn't help. Pat, can I say one more thing?
Yes.
I've been fighting strongly about talking about what's happening to Christians in the Middle East. They're being killed, they're being pushed out of their homes, and we hear nothing about it. And I ask you again, why are we hearing nothing about the killing of Christians all over and destroying of all Christianity outside the Middle East? And the fact is, we Jews have learned what happens when the world is silent. Well, and this is what's happened.
Well, I think there are not many people who are aware or really concerned. You look at a city like Mosul, this is 100% Christian, and suddenly there are no Christians left. I mean, it's like the Muslims want to eradicate. It's genocide and a major issue going on, and the world is silent. And they're the voices like mine, but I'm just one of a few that are standing up for the rights of the Jewish people and the rights of Christians. But I think we need to stand together in this, and I'm glad we are.
That's the key thing. We need to stand together, and we need to speak out. Silence and indifference are the greatest enemies of both the Jewish and the Christian values, and we must speak out. And I thank you very much for the words you've said in the past.
Well, thank you.
On behalf of the Jewish people, we thank you.
Well, together we're friends, and I'm glad we're going to stand against oppression, whatever comes. And thank you for being with us, Ron Lauder.
Thank you. Honored to be here.